Hey guys, welcome back. So again, this is week one of the web application development course. So again, my name is Gaston Pesa, and yeah, so let's get started. So what we're going to be covering today are these topics. We're gonna go through an introduction again. I know I did one for the syllabus already, but I'll be doing that again here. We're gonna be going over setting up Visual Studio. We're gonna be going over the MySQL database, GitHub Desktop, GitHub, setting up your project, uploading your project to GitHub, and Draw.io. And actually, we're gonna also be going through just Trello. I'm gonna show that to you guys. It's a good tool for you guys to know about. So let's get started. So again, my name is Gaston Pisa. You guys can call me Gaston. You guys can call me Instructor or Instructor Pisa or Mr. Pisa. It doesn't matter. I'm good with either way. So I'm a software engineer right now for a non-for-profit. I used to work for a profit organization. So my previous role was a lead software engineer. I was in charge of onboarding 40 offshore developers, and then I was responsible for a team of 5 on-site developers. And now I'm working on a team of 4 other software developers. So I'm a business owner and I run a software consulting company as well on the side. And I acquired my master's degree from NEIU. One quick note, I have multiple monitors, so if you guys see me looking at other ways, it's because I have other monitors. So, all right. So let's go to the next slide. So setting up Visual Studio. So while I present these slides, I'm also going to be showing you guys, kind of walking you guys through this up to a specific point because I already have some of this stuff. I have all of it installed. So, but I'll walk you guys as far as I can through this. So to set up Visual Studio, what we need to do is we need to visit this link. You'll need to download the community edition of Visual Studio. Make sure it's a 2019 version. If you have an older version, I think that should still be okay. If things don't work out okay, I would recommend maybe downloading 2019, but you should be okay with 2015 or 2017. I don't know if I would use 2015, but I think 2017 might be okay. And when you're installing, you should be asked what workloads or components you want to install. Make sure you the following are checked, and so I'll show you this to you guys. So if you already have Visual Studio installed, verify that you have the web development workload. So I'll go over this and I'll show you guys. And so let's go over this because the next slide is MySQL database. So setting up Visual Studio, you'll just go to this link. These slides will be available to you in D2L or wherever I post them. I will let you guys know. So anyway, so you'll click that link. Hopefully, while you're viewing this video, that link is still valid. If not, I think if you just Google Visual Studio 2019, download this should come up. So anyway, you'll get directed to this page, and then all you need to do, you might need to create an account, maybe not, but you'll want to download the community version. So it's a free IDE version of Visual Studio, and yeah, so you'll just click free download, and it'll start downloading. I'm gonna go ahead. I'll delete next time. So anyway, that's how you download it, and then you just click on it. You go through the installation process, and that's pretty much it. And then the installation process should look something. So So that's how you download 2019. And then when you're install, okay, so then after you install it, it should look something like this. So we'll go to Visual Studio Installer here. So this window should automatically pop up to you once you're done installing it. Um, and what you will want to do is make sure that the ASP.NET and web development workloads are checked. The .NET Core cross-platform development is checked, and you can leave the other ones as they are. So you'll go here and you'll click on modify. So notice that I'm modifying Visual Studio Community 2019. That's the version that I have installed. I don't remember what this is. Um, so anyway, we'll click modify. And when you install it for the first time, it might actually take you here first. And if you have any questions or it doesn't take you to these locations, just let me know and I will make a follow-up video if needed, or I will just talk to you guys through D2L or whatever. You'll want to make sure that ASP.NET and web development is checked. You'll want to make sure this is checked. I don't think we'll be doing any desktop development, but it's always nice if you need it. Universal Windows platform development. I think that should be checked. And then make sure this is checked as well. And then you can leave the other ones checked or unchecked. It doesn't matter. I don't think I actually checked any of these. So in the past, I think I checked Node.js, probably Python, mobile. And there's some other stuff that you can check here. So if you're interested in making games and stuff, you can check this. And it'll allow you to use Visual Studio for Unity. Anyway, so that's what you do. And yeah, if you already have it installed, just do what I did. Just go to Visual Studio Installer. Click on Start over here. Type Visual Studio Installer, and then just click it, and that's how you can access it. So let's go to the MySQL database. So MySQL is an open source database, essentially developed by Oracle Corp. It's free and it's really simple to set up. So there's actually a few different ways to set this up. So one way is through WAMP. I don't know if I have this installed, so if I don't, we can actually walk through this. So it sets up MySQL with PHP server with phpMyAdmin. So this will require install on your computer. Now I know that some of you guys might have Mac, some of you guys might have Windows, some of you guys might have Linux. So I don't really know the compatibility of it. So there's always free MySQL hosting, which I think I'm gonna also use during the course. So otherwise, you can install the MySQL server. You can download this directly through Oracle's website. I think I have a link in my syllabus for this. I do not, but I can always provide you guys a link. So, yeah. So anyway, WAMP, MySQL installer, it allows you to set up MySQL server and Workbench within one installer. It's actually really nice. I have that set up on here. And if you do end up setting it up, just so you know, what I have to do is I have to go to my services. I think this is because of the way that I set this up. But anyway, I click here and I just type brings me here to MySQL, and then I just have to start the service, and I hit OK, and now it's running. And I think it turns off every time that I restart my laptop. So if you do end up doing it this way, just know that you might need to go into services and start it manually. Um, Now, again, that might just have been the way that I set it up, but I also didn't want MySQL running all the time on my laptop when I wasn't doing any software development. So keep that in mind. And then there's also free MySQLhosting.net, which I'll go over. It's a remote MySQL database allowing up to 5 megabytes of space, which allows connections from Workbench and PHPMyAdmin. Now, 5 megabytes is not that much, but for the stuff that we're going to be doing, I think it's going to be enough. If not, we can always switch over to WAMP or install MySQL database, MySQL server directly. So that's not a problem. So once you've installed the server, there's different ways of accessing it. Now there may be more than these two ways, but these are just the two ways that I know. So the first one is PHPMyAdmin, which is good for beginners. That's what I used when I first started messing with MySQL. And as I said, you can get it by installing WAMP, and it allows access to your local MySQL database. So by installing WAMP, everything is on your computer. So if you have data in that database, I actually won't be able to see it since it's localized to your computer. Now there are ways to export it, but we'll go over that when we start going over the database topics. And if you do end up exporting it and you have questions on how to do it anyway, feel free to ask me. With PHPMyAdmin, you can access it by going to phpmyadmin.co. I recently just found out about this. It's very nice, and it allows you to connect to the remote MySQL servers if you want. Now, if you install WAMP, it installs PHPMyAdmin locally, so you don't need to do this. For Workbench, which is what I use, it's pretty heavy though on your laptop, and it's very not user friendly in my opinion, but it is nice, and I know a lot of people use it. Anyway, you can download Workbench from online, and it allows you to access local and remote MySQL databases as well. So it's pretty cool. It's very powerful, and I will show you guys a little bit of both. So both are used to manage MySQL databases, and both have their pros and cons. So maybe try both and use whatever one you like best. I'm familiar with both, so if you have any questions, just feel free to ask, and I can hopefully answer your questions. So let's go over MySQL database. So I've already downloaded this. So I'll show you guys WAMP. I don't think I have this installed. So you know what? So the way that you download is WAMP server. So here's a link. I actually also posted it in the syllabus. So go to the link in the syllabus or Google WAMP server. Click download, and then download whatever version you need. Now, I've already downloaded the version that I needed, and so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to install it. I actually already have a SQL Server installed, so I don't know if this is going to override it. So yeah, so I'm actually not going to install it because I don't want it to override my SQL Server. But anyway, so you'll just go here and you'll download and you'll install it. And if you run into any problems, just feel free to let me know. For the MySQL installer, so you will go to MySQL installer. Now I'll post a link in the syllabus for this just so you guys can have it, or I'll put it on the slides. So um, anyway, so the way that you download this is MySQL installer, MySQL server. So you'll Google MySQL Server Installer, and then you'll select your operating system here. Let's see if there's other. So MySQL Installer for Windows. This is what I'm used to downloading. You can always download the MySQL Community Server. So this is the server itself, and then you're able to download it for whatever operating system you have. So this is what I have. Actually, I installed the MySQL Community Server separately, and then I installed Workbench separately, and then I downloaded the installer because I found out about it. But so if you don't have a Windows, just feel free to come here to Microsoft Community Server and just select your operating system and click download right here. So, and then just go through the installation process. And then if you do that, you'll also have MySQL Workbench available here. Again, just go here, select your operating system. They have Linux and they have Mac and Windows. So you can always, and then just click download, and then you can always install it like that. Otherwise, there's this installer that just installs the whole bundle. It gives you the ability to install the whole bundle, but it's only available for Microsoft Windows. And then MySQL installer. So let me show you guys what MySQL installer looks like. So this is what the MySQL installer looks like. You'll have some options here, and so you'll essentially use this to install all of the things that you need. I personally have right now the MySQL Server, Workbench. I've installed MySQL for Visual Studio. I think we will need this, so actually download this as well. We'll need the connector.net and connector ODBC. So download and install all of these, or just use MySQL Server, MySQL installer to install them. And then if you need to install something, just click add and then select whatever you need here. So it's pretty cool, pretty handy, and it's fast. So if you have Windows, I would suggest that you use this. So let's go back. And then there's free MySQLhosting.net. I do have this in the syllabus, a link to this. And this is actually pretty cool. We'll go to this right now. So you'll have to create yourself a free account. Let's get rid of this. I've already created myself an account, so let's see. Where do I log in? I've already created myself an account, so I'll just log in. And then here it tells you kind of what's included with this. So it's a MySQL database, 5 megabytes of MySQL hosting space, gives you PHPMyAdmin, and it lets you upgrade. So let's go to MySQL hosting. You'll see here that I created a database. I think it only allows you one database for free. So just so you know, so let's actually delete this database just so I can show you guys. Probably should have showed you guys PHPMyAdmin first because I think it takes it a little bit. But so we'll click this Start New Database. And everything is initializing right now, but so you'll see that it's generating my database and everything. So keep note of the database host, your database name, your username, your password. So whenever this is done generating, it's going to email me my password. So keep an eye out in your email. And then it tells you how much space you have used in your database. Remember, you have 5 megabytes available. And then you can click this link, so they provide you a link to the PHPMyAdmin page. So this is phpmyadmin.co. Yeah, I should have showed you guys this first. So let's see. Yeah, we'll just have to wait for that email to come in. Oh, just kidding, it just came in. All right, so I got an email saying, now I'm not going to show this because it has a password in there, but I got an email saying that it's set up. And it has the host that I showed up here, right here, as a host, the database name, the username, the password, and the port number that you'll need to connect. You'll need this port number when you connect with Workbench, and I'll show how to connect with Workbench anyway. But most importantly, this gives you your password. So anyway, let's refresh. Yeah. And status is live. So anyway, we'll click here and then it brings you here. So what you'll need to do here is just copy and paste, it's already there, but I'm just doing it just to show you guys. The database username, I copy. Now, you could copy the database name, but I don't know if these will be the same all the time or not with this website. So a username is a username and a database name is a database name. They're different. So that, and then gotta go to my email for the password. And then I'm not a robot. Log in. Sure. So now I'm in PHPMyAdmin. So I'll just briefly go over how to use this, just so that you guys know. So over here is our database. Now I just clicked plus and nothing came up. That's because we don't have any tables in here. So the way that you create tables is you click on database, and then we can create a table here. So let's call it people, or no, let's call it users. It'll have an ID column, it'll have a first name column, it'll have a last name column, and it will have a grade column. Let's do that, or percentage, I guess. Yeah, let's do percentage. So it'll have 4 columns. Okay. Click go. Now we're here, so we'll type ID. This will be an int. Length, I think we can leave the same, otherwise we might have to put 11 here. Default. Say that this is a primary key auto incrementing. So this is a primary auto incrementing key. So here we said that we were going to call this first name, this is for last name, and this is for grade. And so this needs to be Um, I think we can just make I'm debating between making this a text and a varchar. Let's make this text. For now, it doesn't matter. And grade, let's make it a, let's make it a decimal. And then we'll click on save. What happens if we press preview SQL? So here is the script to actually create the table that we just did. So if you guys are interested in seeing that, here it is. If not, if you guys have already taken databases class, you guys will know how to do this. And if you haven't taken, then we'll be doing a little bit of this in this course as well. So we'll be writing some SQL commands. Anyway, we'll click save. Cool. So now we have a table called users. As you can see, this populated here. We have a table called users with an ID column, first column, last column, and a grade column. We might have to adjust this. We'll see. And yeah, so that's essentially how you create a table. Now, if you want to write some SQL statements, you just go to SQL. Structure is the page that we were just at. So let's go back actually. Browse. So browse, I believe. Let's click on the database. Oh, we don't have a browse with the database. So browse, I guess, would show you, it runs this query and it shows you, I guess, everything. And you can always click edit inline and then limit 10. And this will give you like the first 10 users. And then you just click go, click edit, and it just pops up the screen that just has a little more information on there for you. And that's about it for the browse. Let's go to structure. Structure shows you the schema. You can change how something is. So like, let's say I didn't want this as a text and I wanted it as a varchar. I would just go here, click change, and I will change it if I wanted to. Let's go back. I could drop the column, and I could do a whole bunch of stuff with it. I could select multiple ones and do the same thing for that. I can select them all if I want. And I can use, you can also drop the table here. Maybe if I just click drop. No. You're able to drop the table somewhere, so maybe we'll find it somewhere else. Anyway, SQL. So this is kind of the SQL window that I already showed you guys. So yeah, search. You could do some basic queries through here. So that's that. Insert. With this, you're able to just add information. So I have a grade of 90%. And then I can click go. It says one row inserted, and it ran this query. I thought I made this a decimal. Why did it? Oh, yeah. And then if we go to search, browse, yeah, you see that we have an ID of 1 because of the auto increment, and then Gaston Pista grade 90. So if you want to export your database, you do it through here. So that's pretty cool. If you want to import a database from someone else, you can use this. And operations. I guess this is just moving tables and stuff. I'm not too familiar with operations. Anyway, so this was a quick introduction into PHPMyAdmin. Let's do a quick intro into Workbench. So Workbench. So here, oh yeah, I should remove this delete connection. So here, this is what Workbench looks like for the home screen. So here you'll have, these are already some that I set up for another thing. And here you'll see that you have a MySQL connections. You'll click plus. So the connection name, we'll just name this CS412 database. And for the connection method, we'll leave it like that. So this, you can give it whatever name you want, but I'm just giving it this so that I know that this is for what this database is for. For the host name, so we'll want to go back to this. So for the host name, this is it. We'll copy this. You'll leave the port at 3306. Now, if your port is in 3306, like mine is, you'll want to change that. For the username, go to your free MySQL hosting. Change that. Now, if you're doing it through WAMP, WAMP will tell you what your username and password is. And I think typically it's root, and the password might be pass. So just so you know, it will tell you. But if you have any problems, let me know, and I can help you through it. So that's the username, and then the password. I'm going to just go move this window to this other screen. Enter in the password. Okay, so I clicked OK, and the default schema, I believe our schema is this. So the database name is your schema. And so now we test connection, and I think we're going to get an error because they're using an older version. So you'll want to continue anyway, and it says successfully made the MySQL connection. So that's good. That means that your Workbench is able to connect to that database. So now we'll click OK. We'll click here. Continue anyway. And now we're in our database. So you'll see here that this is bolded, and it's bolded because if it's not bolded, you can double click it to bold it. And then you'll see here that the users table that we made in PHPMyAdmin remotely is showing up. And so like I can do select star from users, and then to execute this, you would just run, you would click this, execute the selection portion of the script or everything. So if you have nothing selected, it's going to run, if you have multiple commands here, it's going to run, so it's going to run this twice. Yeah. So here you can see that it ran this twice. Now, if you're used to writing in Microsoft SQL, T-SQL, you might not be used to these semicolons. So I use T-SQL, so and my MySQL sometimes. So uh, there's some differences. But anyway, you'll see that it ran it twice because I didn't select anything. So now I'm going to go ahead. So let's just close out of this. I don't know if I have to, but just going to select this and just execute, and you'll see that it only ran it once. So yeah, and let's say that we want to create a table in here. So obviously you can do a create table command, or you can do it through here, which is rather easy. So people we have, and let's just do addresses. So here we're creating a table name called addresses. We're going to name it the first column, we're going to name it ID. Typically with every table you're going to want to have an ID so that you could do some relational matching with that. It's the primary key. We'll want to make it auto incrementing. It's not null. I guess, yeah, that's fine. And then what's in an address? We have a street. Whatever, we can keep that as varchar. We have street, we have city, we have state, and we have zip. I'm going to leave zip as varchar because some places, I don't think in the US, but some places have letters in their zip code. And in the US, you can have a subzip, which is your zip code, and then a dash, and then 4 numbers. So I'm going to leave it as varchar for now. And then you also have the selections here. You have the data type here. Again, you can just go here for the data types. You can do stuff with indexes here. I don't think we'll be doing too many things with indexes. If anyone has anything that runs slow, we can look at some index estimations, but yeah. And then after you're done creating your table, you just click apply. And here's the script again. So now you'll see that we have a table called addresses, but it's empty. So also a quick tip, a shortcut for hitting this without actually hitting it is Control Shift Enter. So if I just do this, select that, I hit Control Shift Enter, and it runs it. So just so you guys know. I think that's it for this. I don't think I used much more than that. So yeah, if you guys want to check this out, feel free to take a look at it further. So that's that. So GitHub and GitHub Desktop. So GitHub is, let's go over GitHub first. Let's go over GitHub Desktop. So GitHub Desktop is a tool that you use to manage your repositories and your branches on GitHub. So it's like a visual tool, and it's really nice. And it's what I use. Now, a lot of people also use Git Bash, which is far more powerful than GitHub Desktop and allows you to do a lot more things, but it's not visual. So if you're a visual person like myself, you'll want to use GitHub Desktop. Now, there's going to be times that you're going to want to use Git Bash to do certain things, and you will know when the time comes when when you see the limitations of GitHub Desktop. But usually GitHub Desktop is pretty good for basic stuff. So it's great for viewing commits and creating pull requests and committing your code and just looking at the history, fetching, pulling, branch management. It's good for all that kind of stuff. As I said, Git Bash, it's more powerful, but also more complex. It's a command line interface, so it doesn't have any UI. So the capabilities with GitHub Desktop is your ability to fetch, pull, push, merge, and create new branches and some other stuff in there. So if you create a new branch through GitHub Desktop, it will not create it on your GitHub, on your remote GitHub, so like on github.com, until you publish that branch. So whenever you create a branch locally through GitHub Desktop or through Git Bash, make sure that if you want others to see it, if you want it to be available for everyone to see, that you publish the branch online. And GitHub Desktop has a fast feature for you to be able to publish it. And fetching will so there's fetching when it comes time to pull data code from GitHub onto your local. You will be fetching. So first you will fetch, which gets the latest metadata from GitHub, but it won't pull the code that's on GitHub.com. It's just going to get the metadata, and it's going to tell GitHub Desktop, hey, this is where this branch is at, this is where this branch is at, and there's some differences and whatnot. And then what you'll need to do to pull that is you just click a button on GitHub Desktop that says pull. So it's pretty straightforward. I'll show you guys this in a little bit. And then pushing commits will move your commits from your local computer, and it'll push them over to your GitHub repository so that other people can also access it and see it. So it's kind of like publishing your branch, but this is publishing. Once you publish your branch, now you're committing your code into your branch, and you're pushing everything up into GitHub. So what is GitHub? It's a place to put all of your code for free. There is a public version, and there's a private version. I guess not version, but ability for your repository to be public or private. We're going to keep things private for now. And it's a way to do version control and code management. So GitHub is very good for version control because let's say that you do some code before GitHub. If you coded something, and then you really messed up your code, you weren't able to go back to a place where the code worked. So with GitHub, once you code something and you got something solid, you want to make sure that you commit that into your branch and you push that up, because when the time comes, if anything happens that gets messed up, you're able to go back to a time where your code was good. And you might have to rewrite some code, but that's okay, because at least you won't have to rewrite everything and start from scratch. So with GitHub, you can create branches, you can create commits, you do pull requests, and then you merge those pull requests. A branching strategy. So you want to maintain good branching strategy. Now with a one-person team, you don't really need a branching strategy, but it's always good to do it. With a team of developers, you'll usually want to do a branching strategy. So let's say that you're working with a team of developers. One person is working on a user's page, and then one person is working on the logins page. So the user's page, let's call it the main dashboard, right? Main dashboard. And then someone is working on the login page. So you'll want to create, so your main branch in GitHub will be the develop branch. Now it might be called master, it might be called main. It all depends on how you set it up on your repository. But you'll want to create a branch off of develop. And if you are working on the main dashboard, you'll want to create a branch called feature and then slash main dashboard. And then if your peer is working on the login page, you'll want to create a branch off of the develop branch called feature slash login page. So now you guys both have a version of develop, and you guys aren't walking on each other's shoes. And then when the time comes, you'll both be merging your code into develop. And there might be merge conflicts and stuff, and you guys can work that out. So, but you guys won't have any merge conflicts. You shouldn't, since you guys are going to be working independently. And so we're going to be using this kind of merge branching strategy for homework. So when you have a homework assignment that's due, you'll want to create a branch off of whatever branch you want, whatever branch you're working off of. So if you're merging everything into develop, or if you're working straight off of develop, that's fine. But for your homework, you'll want to, whenever the homework is due, you'll want to create a branch, or even before the homework is due, if you did it early, you want to create a branch called, instead of feature main dashboard, you want to do homework slash, and then the date that the homework is due. And that's what you want to name it. So this is so that I can grade whatever you want me to see, because I don't want to look at your develop branch, because you might have worked ahead, or you might have things in there that you don't want me to see yet, because you're still working in it. That's fine. I will only look at the things that are the branches that start with homework. And this is also so that I know that you're not making more commits into this branch after the due date, because I can see if you make commits after the due date. So just keep that in mind. Any commits that are made after the due date won't be graded. So make sure you get all your commits on time, and that you create this branch on time. So GitHub, creating a repository, and again, we're going to go over all this pretty soon. Creating a repository, so on the top left corner, you'll click the green button. So this is just taking you through how to create a repository. You'll give it a repository name of CS412 final, and then last name. So since we're going to be essentially working on the final project throughout the class, throughout the course, that's essentially going to be our main focus. So you'll want to start and create a repository for it. Make it private. Check the add git ignore, and then select Visual Studio from the dropdown. You'll see when I show you. Here's some screenshots. So you'll give it that repository name. You'll click private. You'll check add git ignore, and then you'll select Visual Studio from this, and then you'll click create repository. And then what you'll want to do is you'll want to clone your repository locally. So the way that you can do this is you open up, you click in github.com, you'll click in your repository, you'll click code, and you'll click open with GitHub Desktop. Once you've cloned once you've cloned your repository locally, remember the file path that you saved it to, because we'll be using this when we set up our project. And since the repository is private, you can add users as collaborators to a specific repository in order for them to contribute to it. And this is how you do it. So you'll want to actually, I don't know if I mentioned this, but you'll want to add me as a contributor to your repository, so that I can see your homework assignments and your final project and stuff like that. So your homework assignments are going to be based off of the final project. So as we progress through the course, you'll be progressing through your final project as well. So let's go ahead and show you guys GitHub and GitHub Desktop. So let's first start with GitHub. Let me close this. All right, so let's first start with GitHub. Let's close out of all of this. Let's go. You'll be going to github.com. And as you can see, I have already a few repositories here. I'm going to create a new one for you guys. Um, Now, throughout the course, I'm going to also create a final project with you guys. It's not going to be done, obviously, like yours, but it'll be hopefully a good um, thing for you guys, a good resource for you guys to just look at while you guys are working on yours. So let me move this here so I can see what I'm doing. So, um, so we'll want to give this repository a name of CS412 final, and then last name. So my last name is Bessa. We want to click private, add git ignore, and then Visual Studio, and then create repository. So here we go. So now I've created my repository. It was that simple. So now I'll show you guys how to add collaborators to your repository. So once you're in here, you'll want to go to, so this is my username, and then this is a repository that I'm in, just so you guys know. And then once you're in your repository, you'll want to go to settings, manage access. You want to type in the password. I think this is it. Manage access, and then invite a collaborator. And then you'll want to just search me by my name, Gooby200. And then I should pop up, and then just add me as a collaborator. And that will give me access into this specific repository. Not all your repositories, just this one. So yeah, so let's go back to the code tab. And you'll notice here that my branch, I know that in my PowerPoint presentation I said develop. Well, in this case, my branch name is main. And I think this is just standard. I might have been able to change this when I was setting this up, but I don't know. Anyway, if you don't like main, you should be able to change it somewhere. Let's see if I can figure it out real quick. Branches. Rename main to develop. A lot of people are used to their branch name being their main branch being develop or master. So anyway, my branch is developed. So now we will clone this repository. So here you have this Git link, but if you're using GitHub Desktop, all you have to do is click open with GitHub Desktop, click OK. And here we go. So now this is asking me, where do I want to put this? So it's telling me, hey, Gaston, you're going to be taking this repository from github.com, Gooby200, and then here's your repository name, and you're going to be taking this repository and putting it on this local path. Now this local path is fine for me, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clone it. Is it fine? Sure, it's fine. Clone. And there we go. I cloned it. And so that's that for now. I will show you guys how to commit and do all that kind of stuff after we get our project started. But here you can view all your branches, and then if you had more branches, you can switch between them. Here you can fetch, as I was saying, but there's nothing to fetch. Here's all your repositories, a list of your repositories, and then this is where you can do commits. Write your commit summary and then a little description, and then if you have stuff in here, if you actually had files that you coded or modified or created or deleted or whatever, They'll show up here, and then you just give it a title, a summary, and then a description, and then you just click commit and then push. So actually, let's just create a test branch right now because we can. New branch. So right now we're in the develop branch, and so that's the branch that it's going to base it off of, or the main branch or the master branch, whatever one of the three names that you guys have. And then we'll name this feature, and then I don't know, test, whatever. And then you'll see here that I have publish. So right now I created a branch locally, but if you go here to GitHub, you'll see that I don't actually have that branch here. Oh, by the way, this is where you can see your branches. And you can actually also create branches on here. I'll show you guys that too. So it won't show up until I click publish. So I clicked publish, and now if do I hit refresh? Probably. Now you'll see that I have feature test. So now feature test is available for everyone to see. Now same thing here. So let's say I create a branch off of develop, or no, let's just create it off of feature test just to show you guys that you can. Let's name it feature test 2. And then you'll click here, create branch from feature test. So now we created a branch called feature test 2, and we can just navigate between these on here. Let's go back to develop. So now we have develop, feature test, and feature test 2. Let's go back to GitHub, and you'll see that you still have develop and test. You don't have feature test 2. So to get feature test 2, we need to fetch from the origin. Fetch gets the metadata of your repository and kind of updates everything. So now you can see that we have pulled that GitHub Desktop now knows that there's a feature test 2. So we can go into it, and that's it. That's how it works. And then you can switch between them however you want. So if you have any questions about this, feel free to let me know. So setting up your project. So for this, you want to open up Visual Studio. Let's open it from scratch. So Visual Studio 2019. I have a bunch of projects, so let's go through the PowerPoint first. So we'll be setting up our project. So you'll want to open up Visual Studio. If it doesn't immediately prompt you to open up or create a project, then I'll show you what to do, but you'll want to just go to File, New, and then Project. You want to select Web Application, .NET Framework. Very important that you do that you select the correct one. Here's an example. If you can't find it on here, just type it in the search bar, ASP.NET Web Application, and then just make sure that you select the .NET Framework. For the project name, give it the same name as the name that you gave your repository in GitHub. So CS412 final and then _ last name. Make sure that the location that you're pulling it to is the same location that you cloned your repository from GitHub using GitHub Desktop. So where I picked the destination where I was going to put the repository on my computer, that's where you want to do it. Don't worry, I will show you. So the project name, you'll want to, like I said here, CS412 final last name. This was a test in the screenshot, so don't actually do this. Do what I said over here. You'll want to give the location where you also put your repository. Solution name, just leave it by default. It'll be whatever the project name is, so just leave that alone. Click Next. Select Web Forms and leave all this stuff checked. Doesn't matter. and click create. So and then we'll be going through that. Okay, so let's kind of walk through this now. So setting up your project. So again, you'll want to open up Visual Studio. And then if this window doesn't come up when you open it, that's fine. I'll show you what to do when if it doesn't in a sec. Anyway, so you want to create a new project. And you'll want to search for, make sure that it's in C#, guys. You can do it in Visual Studio if you want, if you know how to, or Visual Basic, I mean, if you know how to do Visual Basic. I'm okay with that, but as a class, we're going to be doing C#. So if you have questions about Visual Basic and you find it hard to keep up, I would suggest switching to C#. And C# is similar to Java, so I would prefer that you guys use C#. So anyway, C#, Windows, Web, and then if you scroll down, you'll eventually find it, but there's too many in here, so I'm just going to search ASP.NET, Web Application, and then the first one that came up for me was the .NET Framework. This is what I want, so I highlight it, click Next. So we said that we were going to do CS412 final underscore last name. Now keep an eye on this location because this isn't what I made it in GitHub Desktop. So in GitHub, when I cloned the repository, I actually put it somewhere else. The way to find out where, if you lost it, is you just highlight it. But no, so if you click on here in the current repository and you go down to your repository, you can click Show in Explorer. This comes up, and then you can just select, and then copy this, and notice that this is in my documents, and then GitHub, and then this. So let's do that, and make sure that this and this are the same name. And then we'll want to remove this. Once you verify that, then just take this out of here. .NET Framework 4.7.2, and then click Create. And then we'll be using web forms. We'll be doing some stuff with web APIs throughout later on in the course, but for now we'll be using web forms. Leave everything here the same, click Create. It'll take it a minute. Okay, cool. So here's our project. By default, it gives you some random pages here. And actually, you can run this straight out of the box. So right now, if you just click play, make sure it's on IIS Express. If you don't have that, you should be able to set it up. It might ask you to set it up, so just follow the instructions. If you can't, let me know. Anyway, so I clicked play, and this is what came up. This is the application, that default application that it has, that it comes with, and here you can see. So in the Solution Explorer, you can see all of the files for the application. And so right now, I believe we are on default.aspx. And here's all the HTML code for where is it, for this page. So we'll be actually deleting this later on. But just so you guys know, and then there's a site master. This is where your navigation bar is. So here's contact, about, and home. Contact, about, and home. And then application name. This is application name, and this is application name over here. So, and then here is the body essentially of the content of the page. So ASP.NET is a free web framework. ASP.NET is a free web framework. So that's that. And now that we created it, let's get back to GitHub. So now that we created the project, if you go to GitHub Desktop, if you did everything correctly, you will, let me maximize this. You will see that you have some files over here. So this is everything that you've actually just created. This is the entire project. So if you commit this to your branch on GitHub, other people will be able to pull this code and run the project on their own computer. So here's like the solution file. Here's the about ASPX file. Where's the default one? Default.aspx. This is the main content page that I showed you guys, and a whole bunch of other files that kind of just come with creating the project. Kind of like the boilerplate. So we'll just go ahead and we'll call this like initial commit. Now, if there's a file on here that you're like, I don't want to check this in because this is just a configuration that's personal to me, like it has my own API key or it has my personal password in here, then you can totally just unselect it and it won't commit it. And you can actually see that when I select it, it highlights it all blue. When I deselect it, it highlights it all green. If I want certain parts of it, you can just click or drag. It doesn't matter. So I wouldn't mess with this too much with manually managing it like this, but just know that it's available to you if you do become good at this and you want to do it. Anyway, I'm gonna check it. You can see that I'm checking in 76 files. I could always right click on here and click discard all changes. Now I'm not going to do that because then that's going to remove my project that I just created. So yeah. So here you can see that the history of this is when I first created the repository, that was the initial commit. I created that repository on GitHub.com, and that was the very first initial commit where I committed, where it created the git ignore for Visual Studio. So anyway, we'll name this one initial commit as well, and then we'll just give it a quick description of created the final project files. And what we're going to do is we're going to click commit to develop. So this is going to commit it to our develop branch. Now, normally in a work environment, the develop branch is protected, so people can't really commit to it. So if you want to commit into develop branch, the way that you put your code in it is you create a branch off of develop, like I showed you guys, like feature, login page or whatever, and then you make a pull request. Actually, let's show that. So we'll go to feature, we'll move all these files to the feature test branch. We'll click bring my changes to feature test, switch branch. Initial commit, created the project, the final project files. So we'll commit these changes, all these files, into our feature test branch locally. So right now we've committed them and the changes are in our local branch. But what we want to do is we want to push these changes over to github.com, to that repository. to that remote repository is what it's called. So we'll click here, push origin. And now you can look at the history right here and you can see, okay, yeah, the initial commit from when I created the repositories here. And then the initial commit, I literally named it initial commit. And here's all my files. Now, let's say that I wanted to come back to this. Let's say that this was a mess up, right? And I wanted to come back to this code. You could revert changes. You could cherry pick specific changes out of here and put them back somewhere. And you could totally come back to this commit. So that's really nice. So anyway, so now we've created a all of our code is in feature test, and in your career as a software engineer, what will happen is, as I said, develop will most likely be restricted, and you won't be able to merge into it. Only people with the release manager will probably be the one merging stuff into it, or a lead or something. And so what you will do as a developer, you have your feature and you're trying to put in your feature into the production environment. So what you will do is you will create a pull request. Now there's multiple ways of creating a pull request. There's the way through GitHub Desktop, and then there's a way through GitHub.com. Through GitHub.com, you would just go here, you could create that. So you would compare and create pull request, and then you would say that you're trying to put feature test into the develop branch. So see this arrow, this means that you're dumping the code from here into here, and this is your pull request name. This is like a general summary. So this isn't, you can have multiple commits in a branch. Let's say you're doing something on the login page, so you would do like added login, added username for the login page, and then one day you worked on that, and then another day you say added password ability, and then added then another commit that says added button to log in, and then added functionality for the button. So now you have all these different commits, and so this is in the pull request. This is essentially summarizing these commits. So created. So for me, for that example, it would be created login page, right? But for my example, it would be created project finals, whatever. That's fine. That's pulling that from the commit, and then you would create a pull request, and that's how you would do that, and then you would merge it in. And then the way that you create a pull request here, I think this will actually take me. Yeah, no, it takes me to GitHub. So whatever. So I'll use this then. So you create a pull request from feature test into develop. You create the pull request. And then this will show you all the commits in here that are coming in, and then all of the files. Now this is crazy because it's the entire project, so this is kind of hard to see and understand, but usually it's like a few files. It's not 76 files. But here you can actually see your commits, and you can review code, and then if you were doing this with someone else, you would actually click review changes, and you would click approve. Now since I did this commit, I can't approve my own pull request. So but that's how you would do a code review. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to merge this pull request into develop, and now it's in develop. So cool. Now you can see that the project is in develop in the develop branch. It is also in the test branch, but it is not in the test2 branch. And so I'll show you guys something right now. So on GitHub Desktop, if we go to our develop branch, we actually don't have that history of our initial commit. That's because we need to fetch the latest from the develop branch. So if you're on the develop branch and you want to fetch the latest from the develop branch, you would go to the develop branch on GitHub Desktop. You would click Fetch Origin to see if there's anything changed in the remote on GitHub.com. It says, oh, okay, yeah, there's 2 changes that you need to pull down into the develop branch. So this is the 2 changes are the commit, that one commit that I made, the initial commit, and then the pull request commit. When you create a pull request and you merge, that creates a commit. And so we'll want to merge those in. Let's discard this. So we just brought that in, and now you can actually see in the history that we brought in the initial commit and the merge as well. Yeah. And then if you want to bring this, now let's say that you're working on the test2 branch, right? And you need the latest from develop into test2. For whatever reason, what you can do on GitHub Desktop is click branch and merge into current branch, or update from develop. But merge into current branch. So our current branch right now is in test2, which doesn't have the develop and the test code. And so we want to merge develop into feature test2. And this says that it will merge 2 commits from develop into feature test2, essentially updating our feature test2 branch with develop. Now you can do the same thing in github.com by just creating a pull request. That's fine. So you want to push that up to the origin, into the remote, so that these changes are also now on github.com. And now, since I did that, you'll see here in the history that it's the same. So now all of the 3 branches are identical. So that is that. Uploading your project to GitHub. So we actually just went through all this. Now that we've created our project, open GitHub Desktop. Commit to main. Now remember, main. I changed mine was called main. My main branch, but I changed it to develop. So remember, it can be, for you it might be main, develop, or master, or you can always rename it to be something else. But here where I reference main, it's your main branch. And you will notice that in the branches, you're on the main branch, and that you're committing to the main branch. Once you commit your code to the local branch, it's now ready to be pushed. Here we go. The main branch might be called master, developer main, or anything else. It's not usually a good idea to make a direct commit into this branch. So as I showed you, always make a feature branch and then merge that in there. It's going to be a lot easier to undo things if you do things that way. Here's an example. Here's another example. And let's go through Draw.io. So Draw.io, this is a cool tool. So let's actually, so this is something old that I did. So you're actually able, so with this is you're able to draw essentially like what your database and what your relationships are between your objects and your database and stuff like that. So let's go to entity relation, and so Draw.io, and then it actually takes you to diagrams.net. This is also in the syllabus. You can go to table, entity relation, just grab a table, and then you can kind of design, you can change the name of this, So actually, we created a users table. Oh, we already have one. We created an address table, right? The primary key was ID, and we had street, we had city, we had state, and let's see, yep, zip. I think that was it, right? And then what we can do here, let's zoom out by pressing Control and then my wheel. And then to like move around like this, I just press the middle button on my mouse, the wheel button. And then in reality, what should be here is, so this would be address ID. And then so now this is telling us that ID, this ID is for this ID. And so this is actually very nice, and it lets you visualize your table. I found that this is very easy, and if you don't do this, it can get very, very messy very quickly to understanding, if you have a big database, understanding how everything is related with each other, and it gets crazy. And then one more thing that I wanted to show that's not on this slide is Trello, Trello.com. So this is very good for keeping yourself organized. So let's go to, so you're going to need to create your own account and stuff. And then let's go to boards and create new board. Say CS412. So I like to create like a to-do list. I like to create a in progress list. Like we can keep this simple for now. In progress, and then complete list. So like to do, let's say that you're creating a login page, right? So to do would be create login page. Or if you want, you could create a list that's specifically login page related. And then you could be like, there's many different ways of creating cards. So these are essentially cards that you can move around. And then you just keep track of your progress with this. And you can plan things out visually and see things a lot better. So create login page, and then like let's go in here, and then you can click, you can do checklist. And then what does creating a login page mean? So we need to create a user text box, create a password text box. Now I'm kind of going into this like very, very deep. You don't necessarily have to do this, but if it helps you, it helps you. Create a login button. Create a forgot password button or link. And then these can also, instead of checkboxes, a checklist here, they can be their own cards as well. So that doesn't matter. So if you wanted to do it with these three, that's great. Otherwise, you can create a login page, swim lane essentially, and everything login page related would go in here. So create create styling for the page, create the login form, so that's the user, the password, the button, and stuff like that. And then you can move things around. And then I like to what I like to do is I like to do labels. So like this is like, I would name this a feature, save, and then I would name this high priority, save, and then this one can be like a bug, save, medium priority, and then blue, let's do low priority. And then maybe this one, tech debt. don't think you guys are going to be doing anything with tech debt, but and then like login form. To me, that's a feature, and it's pretty high priority because you need the login form in order to complete this. And so you move this to in progress, and then there you go. So anyway, I found that this is pretty nice for keeping yourself organized. So yeah, so if anyone has any questions on anything that we went over today, I know that this was a lot, but hopefully this helps you understand kind of the tools that we will be using throughout the course. So yeah, so again, if anyone has any questions, feel free to let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks.